Hello, geography. Today we're talking about some theories of development. And so here's how I want to talk about this. We basically spent the week talking about what development is. And so the question we really have today is what causes a state to develop or not? What theories do we have about why some states are developed and other states are underdeveloped or not developed at all or developing? So to do this, we're going to talk about two types of theories. We're going to talk about structural theories and agency theories. So I'm going to break these down. This is sort of a sociological thing. So let's imagine that there's a river. Looks like this. Okay? So there's our river, and here's point A, and here's point B. Okay, so let's say that you start off right here. You're in an inner tube. That's an inner tube right there. Okay, so based on this scenario, I want to ask you, when you get in that inner tube, where are you most likely to end up, A or B? Obviously, the answer is A. And the reason is because the river flows to A. Okay, so let's imagine you're in the inner tube and you're floating down the river and you really, really, really want to get to B. Like you really want that to happen. So you just, come on, I get to B, get to B, get to B. Can you do it? The answer is no. You'll still end up at A because the river is taking you to A. This is what we call a structural theory. In other words, it doesn't really matter what the human being with their free will and all that want. Some structural thing is causing this particular outcome to be the case. An agency theory, what it is, it says essentially, okay, if I'm in this inner tube, how can I end up with B? So maybe what I might do is I might come down here and then dam the river. So I get out of my inner tube, I dam the river flows like this instead, and now I end up at B. That's an agency theory where the agent, the human being or human beings, did something to change the system to end up at the thing that you want. That's called an agency theory so this one, human beings are basically just sort of floating along with these structures. Agency, human beings are making choices which change the structures themselves. All right. That's the sort of general idea about two different kinds of theories. So we're going to start with structural theories. And again, our question is, what causes a state to develop or not? So if we look historically at what the answers to these questions have been, how people have answered these questions, one large set of theories is what we call environmental determinism. And again, based on sort of a structural theory, what we're essentially saying is something about the environment makes this society develop and this society not develop. They both want to develop, but something about their environment's causing the difference there. So for example, here's one that was a nice one back in the 20th century, and that was that the belief is that if there's a hot climate's going to cause people to be relatively lazy. It's just too warm to work. And by the way, given the week that we've had here in San Diego, the weather, man, I believe it, because that weather is awful. And then that leads to low development. No, okay, it's not great. So let's try another one. Another one might be that the region lacks resources. So for example, if I've got a group of people in the middle of the Sahara Desert, I'm not that shocked that they're not developed, right? Because there's just nothing there to develop. And a place that has a lot of resources would be developed. That makes a little more sense than that first one. There's good things to that, though we can still look around the world and find places that don't have a lot of resources that have developed, and places around the world that have lots of resources but still haven't developed very much. But it's a start. If you bought an environmental deterministic theory, what's your solution? Well, here's the deal. If it's really environment, then the solution is it really can't be fixed. I mean, you can't sort of create new resources, put them in the area, then watch it develop. So that's, essentially if I have a group of people who live in a desert climate, like for example, let's say Namibia, the country of Namibia in Southern Africa. Honestly, if it looks like this right here, according to this sort of theory, Namibia is probably not going to develop that much, so don't hold your breath. That feels a little, ugh. But anyways, so that's one set of theories. They're not great, I got to be honest with you. Okay, so let's try another set of theories. Cultural determinism. Ooh, this one's going to get real messy real fast. So probably the most famous of these is coming out of the 1700s and 1800s, and honestly even today. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. I'm going to put you on pause.